In a dimly lit interrogation room, Detective Sarah Chen stares at the grainy surveillance footage for the 100th time. The murder of District Attorney James Morrison has gripped the city for weeks, and she's been working around the clock to solve it. The video shows a hooded figure entering Morrison's office building at 11:42 p.m., then leaving 17 minutes later. The DA was found dead the next morning, a single gunshot wound to the chest.
Play it again?
Something about the perpetrator's gait catches her attention. A slight limp, barely noticeable unless you're looking for it. She's seen that limp before. The investigation has led her through a maze of corrupt politicians, organized crime figures, and disgruntled defendants seeking revenge. Morrison had made plenty of enemies during his tenure, but none of the suspects quite fit. The killer knew the building's security protocols, understood Morrison's late-night work habits, and most importantly, knew how to disable the main security cameras, leaving only this one obscure backup feed operational. Sarah's phone buzzes. It's a text from her partner, Detective Mike Rodriguez. Got the ballistics report. Match found. You need to see this. 20 minutes later, Sarah walks into the crime lab, where Mike stands with an uncharacteristically grave expression.
The bullet that killed Morrison matches a gun registered to someone in law enforcement.
Who?
Mike hands her the report, and her world stops. The gun is registered to Judge William Hayes, her mentor of 15 years. The same man who encouraged her to join the force, who attended her police academy graduation, who's been helping her investigate this very case. The pieces start falling into place. Hayes' recent nervous behavior, his insistence on being kept in the loop about the investigation, and that limp she just noticed in the footage. 3 months ago, he'd twisted his knee playing golf. But it doesn't make sense. Hayes and Morrison were friends, fellow crusaders for justice. They'd worked together on countless cases. Why would Hayes kill him? Sarah drives to Hayes' suburban home, her mind racing. The judge's car is in the driveway, and warm light spills from the windows. She's been here dozens of times for dinner or advice, but tonight feels different. Her hand rests on her service weapon as she approaches the door. Something
Sarah,
flickers
what brings
in
you
his
here
eyes.
so late?
He steps She aside studies to let her
face,
in. The and face she she's notices trusted the for so slight long. favor he gives
We
his
need to
right
talk
leg.
about Morrison, sir.
In his study, law books line the walls, and a half-empty glass of whiskey sits on his desk.
I know it was you. The gun was registered to you, and the security footage shows your limp.
Hayes doesn't respond immediately. He walks to his desk, picks up the whiskey glass, and takes a long sip.
You always were my best student. Nothing gets past you.
Why? You stood for justice. You taught me everything I know about right and wrong.
Justice? Morrison was going to expose everything. 20 years of carefully orchestrated verdicts, strategic plea deals, cases dismissed on technicalities, all to keep certain people out of prison. People who paid very well for their freedom.
You've been taking bribes?
I preferred to think of it as alternative justice. Morrison discovered the pattern. He was building a case against me, gathering evidence. I couldn't let that happen.
All those years teaching me about integrity, about doing what's right.
Are you going to arrest your mentor, Sarah? The man who made you who you are?
You made me believe in justice. That's why I have to do this. You made me believe in justice. That's why I have to do this. Dispatch, this is Detective Chen. I need backup at Judge Hayes' residence. Officer involved shooting?
Later, investigation of Hayes' files reveals a decades-long corruption scheme involving millions of dollars, dozens of criminals walking free, and a network of co-conspirators throughout the justice system. Morrison had discovered it all and was preparing to expose it, becoming another victim of the very system he'd sworn to uphold. Sarah Chen sits at her desk a week later, staring at the framed photo she's about to put away. Her graduation from the police academy, Hayes standing proudly beside her. She thinks about all the lessons he taught her, especially the last one, that guilt can wear the most trustworthy faces, and justice must be blind to even the strongest personal bonds. She places the photo in her drawer and closes it. On her desk, a new case file awaits, another murder, Another mystery, another chance to prove that true justice still exists, even when it's dealt by imperfect hands. As she opens the file, Sarah remembers Hayes's final words to her, "I made you who you are."
I
She
made
shakes
you
her
who you
head,
are.
knowing he was wrong. She is who she chose to be, a seeker of truth, no matter how painful that truth might be. And in the end, that's what separates the guilty from the just. Not the faces they wear or the masks they hide behind, but the choices they make when those masks finally fall away.